Hi friends. If you click to check out the new Charlotte Tilbury Starry Eyes to Hypnotize, then please keep on watching. Hi, my name is Alicia. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for coming. And if you are returning, well, thank you for coming again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things all movement and beauty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeups, you can head over to my Instagram. I wasn't gonna buy this, but look at me now. This is the newest addition to the Starry Eyes to Hypnotize series. I believe there are, in addition to this, 3 in total. I don't have the one that released in 2016. I believe that was the one that had the rose gold finish. I do have the one that was released last year. You can't really see it, but there are magenta sparkles in here, and here are the trios in the palette. I was actually really impressed by the color story of 2018, but I do feel it was very similar across the board. The tones were very similar, although they are numbered much like many or all Charlotte Tilbury products. You could very much mix them together however you like. But this year's palette has, I think, a better array of color between each trio and just a wider spectrum of opportunity in terms of shades. Now, what I will say that people were quite annoyed, including myself, how Charlotte just released this an hour on her website to say, if you don't get this in an hour, it's only gonna be available for the hour and that's it. It's like, Charlotte, now it's in Nordstrom, Sephora, and Beautylish, and it's still not sold out on your website, so it's not going anywhere. I did get this at Sephora because I wanted to take advantage of the friends and family discount that I had. Thank you again, Edith, you are the best. But I did call Nordstrom just to see when they would get it, and Joel, who answered, told me that Nordstrom was the first US retailer to sell Charlotte Tilbury, and he even says, like, Charlotte now has to share the love, so the exclusivity of a lot of her products is kind of like blurred. I know the Pillow Talk Pops is exclusively at Sephora, but the Celestial Eyes is not at Sephora or at Northeast yet, but it is at Beautylish. So Charlotte is definitely in a lot more places than she started with when first coming onto the market, so it's just kind of interesting finding out those logistics. But before I go on, thank you so much for 50K. I just can't thank you guys enough. I mean, I just love our community here, and the fact that I reached 50K was a goal that wasn't even in my long-term goals for YouTube. It started out really rough. I took like a 2.5-year break, came on, and I'm really happy that I stayed consistent with it. I'm not sure where this will bring me. I love doing this. I just love talking about makeup and trying it on for you guys, reviewing it, and just talking beauty. I think it's really fun because my real life friends don't really entertain me as much as you do when it comes to beauty, so thank you so much. Although I might rant on here and talk about comments that really, like, I have to say, some of you have just written the most beautifully kind and generous comments that sometimes it's nice to read when you're having a tough day, and to know that I am bringing some change into someone's life in a positive way. So I really look to add value to your life, whether it's learning how to blend or learning about a product. I want to make my channel as useful as possible. I know I'm not going to make everyone happy, and that's just something I also encounter in the fitness industry. Being an instructor, I'm not going to be everyone's favorite instructor because my style is very specific, as it is here on YouTube. So thank you for your support. It is very motivating to know that I am making a change and I am adding value, so let's keep this going. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you for your support. It means the world. So let's talk about Charlotte Tilbury and how she took my money again. Here is the box, beautifully designed as usual for Charlotte Tilbury. This retails for $75, but I snapped it with a 25% off, so that equals to what? This amount right here. Still didn't need to buy it, but you know, I just bought the face palette. I was really happy about that. Although she tried to make it sound like this palette was going to sell out in an hour. It is limited edition because this was as well from last year and is no longer available. So if she just would have released it regularly and not with the FOMO craze, I think people would have been more receptive to it. But anyway, that's a whole other video. The suggested shelf life, we're looking at 18 months. This palette is made in Italy. Ooh, the box even has like some metallic finish to it. It got some sparkle in here. And here is the palette. I have to say, this is beautifully gorgeous. It's hard to see on camera. If you see it there, it's like blue flecks and you have the textured glittered finish on the lid. This screams holidays. So in terms of the design, on point. And like her palette from last year and previous, she has all the trios numbered, as all Charlotte Tilbury products are designed to help guide your makeup application so you know what to apply, when to apply it. But as you see, in comparison to last year, you got a little more variety in this year's palette. So we'll apply all the trios, but first I wanted to mention the weightage. The total grammage is 7.5 grams, but if we divide that by each pan weighs in at 0.6 grams each, the total ounceage is 0.26, and divided by 12, we're looking at 0.021, or if you round, 0.022 ounces of product per pan. Not a whole lot product per pan, and Charlotte is notorious for that, but if you're a fan of Charlotte, you kind of already go in knowing that and you just take the hit. That's why I wanted to get this now with the discount, because given the fact that we got 20% off, that's $15, so we got it for $60 instead, which is still expensive but a little more reasonable than $75. Each trio starts with the prime, then goes to the enhance, and then goes to the smoke shade. So let's go through Happy Glow. That's the prime shade for, ooh, that's pretty. Happy Glow Enhance, Happy Glow Smoke. You see what I mean? It kind of swatches a little deeper than how it appears in pan. So that's why I was surprised when I first swatched this at Bloomies. I was like, oh, excuse me. Prime shade for Love Glow, Enhance Love Glow, Smoke Love Glow, Prime Dream Glow, Enhance Dream Glow, Smoke Dream Glow, Prime for Seduce Glow, Enhance Seduce Glow, and Smoke for Seduce Glow. Here are all the swatches for the trio. You can see here that there's more variety overall. Like, you got the warm eye, but you got the olive eye, and then you got like that straight up silvery, smoky New Year's Eve eye. So really excited to get into these. I also wanted to mention that I picked up Verushka in her eyes to mesmerize, which I mistakenly called this palette in my instant face in a palette video. Hypnotize, mesmerize, all the eyes. I get confused. I wanted to try Verushka with the Dream Glow. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. And with all that said, friends, on my list, I have the Anastasia eye primer on. I know it is very light, but once I apply all shadows on, it will kind of even out. Let's go in with the prime shade from Happy Glow. And in true Tilbury fashion, we apply that on the lid first. You know what, friend? I am going to take this off because I feel like Charlotte Tilbury eyes, as I had said in the instant face in a palette video, are very light. So I will go in with my Shiseido concealer instead for priming. This is the Synchro Skin Gel Stick Concealer in 302. I just use my finger to buff that out. And while I did that, I took out my eyebrow instead. Taking the prime shade for Happy Glow, lightly pat that on the lid. And as Charlotte likes to apply her shadows, she starts with her prime shade first, which is always mostly a sparkle, and I know that's very different from typical Instagram makeup technique, but this is how she does it. Now with the enhanced shade, reference number 15, I'm gonna put that like on the outer corner and through the crease. I gotta say, these are very smooth and very easy to apply, and that's typical Charlotte makeup. It's formulated to just be easy for application. Brush, finger, you just want to get it on there fast and know it's gonna look good. Taking that enhanced shade under the lash line. Happy Glow Smoke with my reference number 1. I'm gonna first pat that on the outer V, and that's not bad at all. Wow. I'm just taking very soft circular motions on the edges of that enhanced shade with a little bit of the smoke. I know it's very near the brow bone, but I think it just kind of softens it a bit and makes it look really nice. And then I'm taking the smoke on the outer lower V, a little bit here on the inner third. No product with my reference number 16 brush, just to feather out the edges of the smoke shade. And that is it, friends. We have our Happy Glow eye all done and ready to go. Now let's go in with Love Glow, which will look sickening with the eyes to mesmerize in rose gold. You want to get it? Okay, fine, let me get it. I know we will want to see these on their own, but these pots only have a 6-month expiration on them, so we gotta use them, okay? Luxy Beauty, who this? This is a synthetic brush, and I'm using a cream product, so naturally. $2.39 with the Rose Gold shade and the Eyes to Mesmerize formula. I'm gonna just lightly apply that on the lid. The Eyes to Mesmerize pots are outstandingly easy to use and foolproof. It's a light moussey texture that you can layer for varying levels of intensity, or you could buff out for a very light wash of color. So that's our base, and again, you could just go out like this and be fine, but we're gonna use this trio. Prime shade for Love Glow. Pat that on the center of the lid. That looks exactly like the Rose Gold shade. Putting a little more here in the corner. Reference number 15, Enhance from Love Glow. Pat that on the outer V. Again, using circular motions to buff the shadow in and around the crease. A little bit on the inner third as well, why not? Pulling it out a little bit. If this is the first time you're seeing Charlotte Tilbury shadows in action and you're like, wow, you're putting a metallic shimmery shade in your crease, yes, I am. This is the Charlotte Tilbury aesthetic. She relies on these finishes to create that glow effect on the eyes. And you even see, despite its metallic formula, it blends quite easily and very seamlessly. So you don't have to feel obligated to use a matte in your crease first and then follow through with the metallic shimmery shades, which is why she has them numbered the way that she does, because these layer on so beautifully. They don't look heavy or textured on the lid. They just blend together and melt with each other. Reference number 1 with the Smoke shade. Wow. Let's first dab that on the outer V first. I'm keeping this quite low and then pulling it up towards the Enhance shade to create like that very low-key smoke. Putting a little here on the outer V. Enhance shade with the reference 01 on the rest of the lower lash line. Reference number 16 with no additional product to feather out the edges. And here we have our finished look. Don't be mad, I just lightly curled with mascara on. Don't ever do that, it was for the video, okay? That could really ruin your lashes. I'm taking one for the team. I absolutely love how these trios look. Let's pan out, shall we? Because we have it. Taking my Sonia G Master Face, went with the bronze shade and just punching in a little more color here. And I already have the Bar of Gold highlight on the cheekbones, one of the best highlighters I've ever encountered, ever have in my collection. A little bit of Hepburn Honey on the center of the lip. And here we have both eyes done, panning out so you can get a wider look. Listen, I know these shades are not groundbreaking. They are not new. I think Charlotte Tilbury shadows are more about the experience than the color story. The fact that we could layer on these textures seamlessly and they look just smooth on the lids. You could layer a shimmer on a matte or whatever, a moussey texture from the Eyes to Mesmerize pots, and it all works. It all works together. Now, before we go into the next, excuse me. Now, before we go into the next trios, I quickly want to mention my other favorite Charlotte Tilbury palette, which is the Icon palette. These textures are a little different than the ones here in her Hypnotize palette. I can't quite explain it. I feel the ones here, including the one from last year, take on more of a creamier, metallic finish texture, whereas the ones from the Icon, I feel, serve a different purpose. Like they're more satiny and they're shinier, maybe? I don't know. I'm like looking at them both. Maybe they are the same and I'm just going nuts. But the reason why I love the Icon palette is because you have the neutrals and you have the pops of color here. But again, much like the texture that exists in her Hypnotize palette, is very easy to use and layer. Particularly love like the satin matte shades. They're not completely matte. They have like a skin-like finish to them that it's just really easy to blend on top of whatever shadow you have on there first. So I just wanted to quickly mention that. I know I didn't do any comparisons, but the only shade, well, let me see here. The only shade that kind of looks similar is the Smoke shade from the Starry Eyes 2019 with the smoke shade from the first trio last year's palette. So I feel the one from this year has a little more warmth to it, whereas the one from last year has a little more of a pinkier hue, maybe not as deep. I think they're just different colors all together. And quickly, the smoke shade from this year's palette compared to the smoke shade from last. This is definitely more red in tone. This takes on more of like a purple magenta hue. I love this palette as well. I don't use it as often as I should because I get caught up with my other palettes, my other favorites, but I definitely need to use it more often because the formula is quite beautiful. What I will say, a con about Charlotte Tilbury shadows is that they don't last very long. I would say 6 to 8 hours, 8 hours max, and the metallics will start to fade a little bit, but the mattes are not too bad. They'll still stick on the lid some. You're gonna get more longevity for metallic shimmer finishes from Natasha and Pat, absolutely. But if you think about it, not everyone's gonna have a 12-hour day. So if you know that's what your schedule is like and you need your makeup to stay on all day, then maybe this palette won't be for you. But if you know your makeup will only be worn for that period of time, the 6 to 8 hour mark, then maybe this will work out. So let us take this off and go in with the next two trios. Shiseido concealer is back on. Let's get into the olive trio, which I know I wanted to apply by itself, but I gotta put on Varushka. Look at this. It is perfect. Going in with that same Luxie brush again. Oh, we're starting off strong already. I applied a little too much though. Using my finger to pat around the edges and diffuse the placement of the shade. So see how easily it just shears out with that? So it looked very impactful upon initial application, but you can kind of control the intensity with your finger blend. That on its own is gorgeous. Lower lash line, mascara, and you're done. But we're gonna apply this trio. Let's start off with the prime shade. I'm gonna pat that on the center of the lid. I love this shade. It's like a true gold champagne. Gorgeous. Hakuhodo J242, same prime shade on the inner corner. Reference number 1 with the in hand shade. Pulling that through the crease, see what that does. I'm just going windshield wiper motion and placing it there. I'm not going too smoky just yet because I want to go in with the olive to get smoky. I'm just gonna put a little bit of the hands here on the lower lash line first. Reference number 15, finally with this beautiful olive smoke shade. Let's see how this does. Oh, there we go. The Varushka Eyes to Mesmerize is going to help these shadows last a little longer and really enhance the olive tone of this trio. Placing it there on the outer V, Sonaji Crease Pro with the smoke shade. Ooh, I got a little bit of fallout because I did not tap off my brush. I was a little aggressive with that application. Buff away. I think we did that unscathed. Esom W21 with the enhanced shade, like on the inner part of the eye and through the lashes as well. You could use an olive tone eye pencil, but I don't particularly like to line my eyes a whole lot, so I'm just gonna use the shadow to create that effect. Let's move into the seductive eye. What is it called? Seduce glow. You could do Eyes to Mesmerize, but I'm just gonna go in clean with this one. Prime shade on first. This is a very like light type of color. It's like a rose gold. I'm gonna put that on the lid first. Inner corner as well. Ooh, very shiny. Esom W21 with the enhanced shade. I'm gonna first tap this on, see what it does. Oh, that's pretty. Put that on the inner corner as well. You could go with just the silver. You could go with just the prime shade. I mean, you don't have to apply all the shades from the trio. This is for the sake of the demo and seeing how these work. Enhanced shade on the lower lash line. Taking my refer brush with that silver enhanced shade and pulling it through the crease a little more. And just smoking that out. I'm actually going to take it over that prime shade, and perhaps we'll just use the prime shade to highlight the inner corner. Now, with smoke. Using that same Esom brush, patting it down on the outer corner first. I'm gonna try to do what Charlotte did, or whoever did that makeup for the promo pic. Sonaji Crease Pro. I'm gonna further build this outer V out. What? Out, out, out. I love how the black mixes with the silver and you end up with this beautifully dazzling charcoal shade. So if you don't want it to look like that, you might have to just go in with the black on its own. Lower outer V. And I'm pulling through windshield wiper, but then I'm just slowly starting to shape this a little more. Lifting the brow to see where this black is going, and then kind of pulling it around the lid to make it appear more diffused. Not too bad. I think we got a little some. I'm just patting down more of the black shade just to create a little more smoke from the lash line in towards that V. Tuckahoe J5522 with no additional product and gently just diffusing the edges of the black. And maybe doing a little bit of that. All right, let's put on some more mascara, maybe some lashes. We'll see, and I'll be right back. Here is a close-up, and yes, I popped on some lashes, Red Cherry in the style 415. And I'm gonna just quickly dim the lights on you a little bit. It's hard to see now, but I don't know if it's from the prime shade or the enhanced shade, but look at this beautiful glittery finish on the Seduce Glow Eye. There's a nice sheen on the Dream Glow as well, but the sparkle on this eye though is outstanding. Look at it. That is so pretty. Here's a wide shot, and I applied all of Hepburn Honey on my lips, followed with her iconic nude lip cheat pencil. Listen friends, again, this is nothing new in terms of the shade, but when I saw this under the light, like a halogen light, whatever they're called, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is why the lash trio is called Seduce Glow, and why it's not just your typical smoky black smoky eye shade. The prime and enhanced shade, when strewn through the black matte, it just has a beautiful dazzle effect. Who knew? And I'm happy I discovered it so I could show you guys on camera. This has beautiful sheen too. I think you were able to see more of the olive hue with the flashlight on the lid, but it is simply gorgeous. So soft, so simple to apply. I mean, effortless. Final thoughts, friends. What do I think? If you can get this at a discount, if you can get this as a gift, it might be worth it. I'll mention this again. I am very well aware that several of these shades are not deep skin tone friendly. I totally get it. It is beyond frustrating. So because of that, I feel the Icon palette is a better choice if you do want to dabble in Charlotte Tilbury shadows, but I know this was definitely limited edition. Maybe it's still available at Nordy's or another retailer that carries Charlotte Tilbury, because I think these are just going to show up better on richer skin tones. In regards to the Hypnotize palette, you'll probably get something out of the lash trio, maybe something out of the olive, but then for Love Glow and Happy Glow, I would say light to just maybe tan, but when you get after that, I'm not entirely sure how the Love Glow matte is going to show up on you, but the metallics though definitely will. This might not show up very well, but I feel these, although light in shade, have a nice tone to them. Like for instance, this has a little more like coppery tone to it that I feel will look nice on a richer skin tone. But let me know, I could be making stuff up. If you have this palette and you feel it's not worth it, let us know what your shade is down below and we could figure it out together. But if you're around my skin tone, I think you will really love this palette. I actually like it more than last year's, because last year's is beautiful. You know, this, I'm not taking anything away from it. I just love the fact that you could get like a soft daily eye and maybe bump it up with like that red tone in the second trio, and then go totally different with the olive and go super rich evening look with the last trio. This is the darkest trio in last year's palette, and it could be smoky, but I want to go this route if I'm going to an event or a holiday party, New Year's Eve party, which I never go to, but you never know. But so it's nice to know I have the option to go super smoky and just evening appropriate with this palette. And again, going a totally different direction with the olive trio in here. So I think this is a lot more comprehensive in terms of choice. The textures, I feel, is the feature that just blows me away with this palette. You have shimmer and matte, and they all blend together beautifully. I don't know how it happens, because sometimes when you mix textures, it looks patchy, it looks uneven, it looks messy. You know what I mean? When you combine these textures from Charlotte's palettes, they look smooth. They dance and groove together. It's just seamless blending between shimmer and matte. And I'm just blown away every time I use her shadows. The longevity, I wish was better. Absolutely, because I have very long days. So it's nice to know by the end of like the 11th hour, I'm still gonna have some shadow on my lids. Maybe it'll be lighter, but you know what? I feel you'll have better luck if you use a grippy primer or you use one of her Eyes to Mesmerize pots. I feel if you get this, you might already have a Mesmerize pot from hers, and I think you could experiment. Apply one of these shades first and then apply the metallics here, and I feel you'll have better longevity. Every time I use her Eyes to Mesmerize, I always forget. I'm like, why don't I use these more often? These are just so effortless to apply, and they work well with her other shadow textures like you saw in the demo. Again, I'm really happy with how all my eye looks turned out. I just can't get over this eye. Again, you can't see it unless you're under dim light or that flashlight, but it has really nice glow and just beautiful smoke. And they were so easy to do, and that's again the Charlotte Tilbury way. 3 shadows, they have a roll, mix them together how you want, and you're gonna get your Charlotte Tilbury eye. That's it. I'm really happy with this palette, friends, but I just want to make sure you know, because this is the very tip of the holiday season. These palettes and other makeup products are just coming at us fast. Have your blinders on. Wait for the review, right? I buy this because I know now I am a beauty channel and you guys expect me to review a lot of makeup. Sometimes I buy it all. Sometimes I have to like budget and kind of pass on some releases, but this really spoke to me. But if it doesn't, you don't have to get it. Again, just because I love it doesn't mean you're gonna use it, doesn't mean you're going to think it's worth it. This is just a shopping guide, right? I really enjoyed using it because really I could just take this along with me and be good. Sometimes I pack several palettes because I just like to shake it up every day, but really I could play with this palette for a whole week and be fine, and experiment with the different textures and how I apply them and just get a different eye look each and every time with just one palette. So let me know if you're picking up the Starry Eyes to Hypnotize Holiday Edition 2019. If you already have it, what you think about it, your thoughts, and yeah, we'll take it from there. And that, my friends, is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And until then, I'll see you on here again with another review, tutorial, get ready with me, or favorites list. Take care and I'll see you again soon.